Welcome to Sweet Independence, the podcast for beauty professionals ready to build the business of their dreams. I'm Kristen Kinzel, founder of Utopia Modern Salon Suites. With 34 years in this industry, I've seen firsthand the power of independence and community. We'll ditch the stress, unlock your potential, and give you the clarity and confidence to thrive. Get ready to transform your career and build the fulfilling life you deserve. Your flourishing future starts now. Welcome back to our podcast. Today we're talking with Brittany Thomas, who is the owner of Rooted Wellness Company. We're here in her beautiful suite at our Tyler Point location. Welcome, Brittany. Thank you for doing this. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Brittany Thomas, as she just said. I have owned my practice for a little over a month now, so it's very new, it's very fresh, very exciting. I am a nurse practitioner. I graduated I have 2 master's degrees in nursing. My first one was from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. That was with a specialty in neonatology. So I was in the NICU for about 12 years, I think. And then kids started getting busy and active with life and sports and all the fun things. So I felt like the schedule for the NICU wasn't the best for family life with my kids really active with sports. So I was missing a lot of things. So I ended up going back to school to KU, University of Kansas in Kansas City, and earned my second master's with a specialty in family. So that's kind of what got me here. Yeah, that's a little bit about me, a little bit of my background at least.
That's good. So you got your master's. So what is your vision at that point? What are you going to do with that?
I really wasn't sure in the beginning. My program took about a year because I had already had a lot of the core stuff done for my first master's. During school, I was very unsure of what I wanted to do. I did a bunch of clinicals at a family practice over in Andover with a good friend of mine. I served a lot of hours it was called Health Corps. The place was called Health Corps down by Wichita State. And that serves like the underserved community in Wichita. So it was a very interesting, wide range of diseases and different socioeconomic status patients. And so I learned a ton. It was a fantastic experience. And then I did a lot of hours in OBGYN. And I really liked that. I loved the hormones. I loved just kind of helping women through pregnancy and postmenopausal and the younger girls who were kind of like learning about their bodies. Education has always been one of my favorite things about being a nurse, like talking to families, talking to parents in the NICU. And I kind of felt that same connection with patients in OBGYN. And women's health patients have a lot of questions. Their bodies are almost always changing, whether it's puberty, pregnancy, menopause. So it just kind of organically came to be something that I really enjoyed. And then hormones have always kind of been near and dear to my heart because I have 2 kids from previous marriage. My husband has a child from previous marriage. And then when we got married, we decided we wanted one more to share together. And I thought that was going to be an easy road. It wasn't. It ended up, we had to do IVF to have our baby. And so hormones have always been pretty important to me, pretty emotional. And so I feel like I can connect with patients on a pretty personal level with that. And so yeah, I just landed a job with hormones, and weight loss was the other part of that job. They kind of go hand in hand. You know, a lot of women middle-aged, they start to go through perimenopause and their weight changes. They start getting weight gain. The things that worked for them in the past don't work anymore. And so it just kind of organically formed into this. And then about 4 months ago or so, I started thinking, I could do this on my own. I could have hours that work better for my family and a location that's closer to home. And yeah, so that's kind of what led me here to Utopia.
I love it. We're so glad you're here. We love that you bring something different. We have a nurse injector at one of our other locations, and then our suites are filled up with a lot of hairstylists and estheticians. Yeah. So what you bring is very unique, and it's in high demand.
Yeah.
I know everybody else is glad you're here too.
Yeah.
How has coming here impacted your business, or do you know yet? I know it's been quick.
It's been quick, yeah. I'm 3 weeks in, but so far so good. I know Hannah down the hall a little ways at Wicker Chair, excuse me. And so she's been a great resource for me to kind of promote my business and send people my way, and that's helped a little bit. And I think just the foot traffic in and out of here all the time, there's so many different stylists, and it's nice to have that constant people coming in and out and walking past our door. And when I'm here and I don't have a patient, I try and leave my door open so people can pop in and ask questions if they want to. I'm a pretty approachable person. I feel like I want people to know that if you just have a question, ask me. Like, I'm not a scary person.
That.
So
yeah. No, you're very approachable.
Thank you.
Well, that's nice. And with all the clients who come in here, they're mostly women.
Yeah.
And they check all the boxes you've already mentioned
Yeah.
about life changes, body changes. And I love that this works well for your personal schedule. I
Yeah.
think that is so important to have the balance with your family and be able to control your schedule
Yeah.
and your income to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It's, family's my top priority. Being divorced, I feel like I view things a little bit different now. Like my family will always come first. And it was very important to me to be present for my older kids with their activities, but then also my 2-year-old, I want to, I want to enjoy him. He's our last baby and I want to be there as
And you
much as I
worked
can.
hard to get
And
him here.
exactly. Yep.
Yes.
That's a big piece of it. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So how are most nurses like you in your industry typically set up? Where do they do their practice?
It seems like in Wichita, there's a lot of independent practices. It seems, there's a couple bigger ones here in town. I'm not sure exactly where they start off, but that's kind of where they end up. And I know a couple have been physicians or at the hospital, for example, who open their own practice. I know there's a couple nurse practitioners up in, I think, Newton that have their own practice, and it's all independent practices. I wanted my growth to be kind of on a slower schedule that worked for me and my family. Owning a business is something that's brand new to me. It's not something that as a nurse I have any experience in. And so it's scary. It's definitely scary.
It is. I mean, we find that's the beauty of Utopia. I'm not trying to plug us, but all of our hairstylists and stuff, they all want to be independent and want to be business owners, but taking on the full brick and mortar and all the responsibilities is a lot.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to hear you say that too, that this is a manageable way to start your business.
Absolutely. And I'm a pretty social person. I love the interaction with the people next to me. I love meeting new people. I love the constant foot traffic in and out. And so I just wanted something that I was independent, but I also had people that I could reach out to or lean on. You've been fantastic throughout this process. I love having the connection of you being here. You're welcome. And I just wanted it to grow as it would work for me. Yeah. And I think this Utopia has been fantastic.
Well, good. It's very manageable. That's our goal, is to make you just have to worry about your business. We take care of the rest. So sometimes people like you start in a place like Utopia, and then eventually as your family matures and your life changes and your practice becomes more solid and maybe more fluid with systems and things, maybe not you, but sometimes people want to go out on their own and do their own brick and mortar. Is that an end goal for you?
I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, I want to own something that's big and has a ton of different services. I think when I first had this in my mind, I was like, eventually I want to own something where I have like a massage therapist and a mental health therapist and an esthetician and a bunch of different service lines to just kind of give a person that overall wellness experience. But I don't know how to answer that because I've loved it here. I like that there's people always around. I feel like it's a safe place. I feel like it's a really positive environment, which I'm really big on. I love, the support that we give each other. I love the camaraderie. I don't know how to answer that because I'm not.
It's too early.
It is. It is.
I'll ask you again in a year.
Yes, please do.
Definitely too early, but I'm glad this is working for you well now.
Yeah.
Like I said, we love having you here. So
thank you.
It's fun to hear that it's working well for your business as well.
It is.
What is your passion? What drives you? Why do you do this?
My passion is 100% helping people. That is what drives me. I think it started when I was a baby nurse and I graduated from Wichita State in 2013 and had my first clinicals in the NICU. And I loved feeling like I made a difference that day when I went home. And I think that has fueled me my entire career. And so, like I said, I still love the NICU. I still love the babies. It's still a passion of mine. It's just not family friendly at this point. So I think that, and maybe it's like a connection that I feel like I have sometimes to women, but I don't want to narrow myself into a box because the men that I treat are some of my favorites too. I think making people feel better is what drives me. It's my passion. And if that's with weight struggles, if that's with hormone struggles, I have a couple patients who I schedule them for, a 30-minute appointment and they're here for an hour and a half just because they want to talk. And I love that. If that's what you need out of me, then I'm here for that. So I think that's what drives me the most.
What all services do you provide? What would someone come to you for?
So weight loss is a big one. And then both men's and women's hormones. And so people often ask what does that mean? What does that mean? Like if you do hormone optimization or hormone replacement, really any stage of life, if you're feeling like there's hormonal issues going on, young women who have PCOS or irregular periods, women going through perimenopause who want to start hormone replacement, men who start to lose their testosterone and want to start hormone replacement, postmenopausal women, there's there's a bunch of changes happening high up within our healthcare system that are really positive for especially women who, for years and years, we were scared to take any type of hormones because it was, it was going to give you cancer.
And it wasn't talked about.
It wasn't.
I mean, I'm thrilled to be in my 50s now because 10 years ago and beyond, this stuff wasn't discussed.
It wasn't. And I've noticed there's a big generational change too. Like there's certain generations of women who they went through that time when all the journal articles were coming out saying it's going to give you cancer, stop it immediately. And they still, good luck convincing them that this is in their best interest because they just cannot get over that. And research and data and everything has come back out and said like, well, wait a second, that is not true. That was a flawed study. And I think it's fantastic that the FDA is starting to recognize that women do need hormones as they age. And so it's really exciting to have someone who has suffered for a long time and, 6 weeks after they start therapy, they come back and they're just in tears because I've changed their life for the better. And they, one of the most common things they say is, gosh, I wish I had started this sooner. And so if I can help, a few people, like I said, that's what really fuels me.
I feel like we're in a time where people are also less shy about questioning medicine and common practices. I know I see a lot of it in my social media feed, just a lot of challenges to what we've always believed.
Yeah.
And what we've always been told. And I love some of the information is false. Some of it's half nuts, but some of it is very true. And I love that we are discussing it and putting it out there. Does that get hard? Like when someone hears or sees something that you strongly disagree with, I mean, for example, that hormone replacement will give you cancer.
Yeah.
Do you deal with that a lot?
Yeah, honestly,
Are
quite a
you
bit.
Dispelling myths?
I try to. And like I said, there's certain groups of people that just cannot get over that. And, that's okay. That's their life. That's their decision. I try and educate everybody. I try and present them with data and science and research. And I like to read it. I'm sure a lot of people maybe don't, but I'll give it to you if you want to read it. Yeah. So I think that it's our healthcare system is changing for sure.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's great that we're questioning things.
I do too. I think COVID changed a lot and people kind of started questioning things that have always been just kind of normal in our healthcare system that are not necessarily, I don't know the right word for it.
Well, I think historically we've always trusted healthcare wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I know older people, my parents and their generations, even older than them, if the doctor says something, it's gospel. You don't question it. You don't do your own research or anything. And now we're getting into an age where nothing is gospel. You question everything.
Yeah.
We had a lot of distrust come about with COVID.
Yep.
And so maybe that's a positive that came from that is we're questioning things and looking for alternative answers. I mean, like hormone replacement, you can be fixed and helped before you're completely miserable.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think that, social media has changed our world in regards to you can go on there and search menopausal symptoms in women or low testosterone in women or whatever you want to look. And you'll find everything. And then
you can find answers to support anything.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. It just kind of depends on which rabbit hole you're going to go down and which algorithm is currently on your social media.
Absolutely.
And then AI has kind of changed things too. People, they get something from their doctor and whether it's right or wrong, they'll immediately go to Google or AI and type things in. And, I hope that people continue to trust their healthcare provider, but at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning things and, challenging that system. I mean, take insurance, for example. How many times does insurance deny something that's absolutely essential for a person's health? And, they dictate it because they have the power. They have the money, that big pharma concept of, all these things are driven by these companies that are in control. And I think that's what I find encouraging with our healthcare system is that people are starting to push back on that. And, the healthcare system is changing. There's so many people out there that don't do traditional medicine anymore because they're fed up with insurance dictating X, Y, or Z. So.
Yeah, we could probably sit down and talk for hours about the big pharma drivers and insurance drivers. Oh,
I know. It's
crazy.
A lot. It's heavy.
It is. But I love that you're someone people can go to and trust. How do you build trust with people?
I try and come off very, very genuine. I try and let everyone know that I'm listening to what you're saying. I care about what you're saying. I think most of my patients would agree that I'm someone that they can trust and feel heard from. I hear that a lot that, you're the first person that's ever really fully listened to me. And again, like that fills my cup. That's what I want people to leave here feeling, is that I care about you. I want to help you feel better, and I'm genuinely here for you.
That's great. So how does your payment work? Do you take insurance, or how do you generate revenue?
Most of what I do is self-pay. I do typically, if a person's got insurance that has good lab coverage, I will file, I go through LabCorp for all my labs. And so I'll do insurance to cover labs. And I found that just kind of helps open the door for more people to come, because, every $100 adds up and things can get expensive. And if you're on weight loss medicine or hormones, that's a monthly cost. That adds up fast. And so if I'm able to help anyone find little avenues of ways to save money, I'm going to do it. And I think that kind of stems from my experience in clinicals where I was at HealthCorp, because, those people are typically uninsured or not the best insurance. And so money is an issue. They can't afford medications. They can't afford physical therapy. They can't afford to go get an MRI. And I kind of feel like it almost, I don't know the right word for it, kind of changed the way I view kind of changed the way that I want to try and help people. I want everyone to get care,
have
access despite their income, and if taking off a couple $100 if that makes a difference for someone to come and see me, absolutely. Let's do it. I want people to know that I'm not out here to try and make the most money off of you. I just want to help you feel better.
While making a living and
yeah.
sustaining your business,
exactly.
Growing it, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. So is it common for people like you in your industry to accept insurance for things like labs?
I don't think it's very common. I don't look at a lot of other people's business models, but it seems like from what I hear from patients that that's not a very common thing. And to me, it's a simple thing. It's just a few extra steps. And typically with labs, they get covered by insurance. You have to be kind of selective, and there's certain diagnosis codes that you have to put in there to get things approved. But that's just something that, like I keep saying, if it's going to help the patient in the end game, I'll put the extra effort in to do that for them. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a very common thing. But again, I think it goes back to fighting with insurance all the time, and healthcare providers are getting fed up with doing that. So
I'm sure that's really exhausting.
Yeah.
Battling the insurance.
I mean, there's certain clinics that I know of that they have people on staff that just deal with insurance. Like that is their Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week job. And to me, that's wild. My husband asked me when I was kind of talking things out with him, like, are you going to take insurance? That's going to be a huge question. And that's what I told him. I said, I would love to, but I just don't have the time. As an independent provider, independent practice owner, I don't have the time for that. Maybe down the road, I have hope that our healthcare system will change and that this type of thing will continue to become more accessible to patients, but there's no way to predict it.
It is terrible how wasteful the time is spent just fighting insurance.
Yeah.
There's been so many times for me where I've needed, or my kids have needed a procedure or even a medication, and there's just this back and forth, and you end up getting it most of the time, but why do you have to call the doctor again and again and just waste everybody's time and resources?
And like the time delay, that's what gets me. It's impacting their quality of life. And, they could have done something 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago. Who knows? It's crazy.
Do you have things that you prefer to treat? What are your favorites, if you have any?
I love meeting with people who have never done any kind of hormone therapy, and they're in the trenches of feeling symptomatic, and then getting them to come back in 6 to 8 weeks. And then I love hearing that feedback of how great they feel. And then my other favorite would definitely be weight loss patients. Helping someone lose 50, 60, 70 pounds I just love it. I'm so happy for them. It's life-changing,
Yes.
I have a patient who cried to me one day about her husband's a big into biking, and she just wanted to go ride her bike with him once a week. And she was in so much joint pain and inflammation and overweight that she couldn't even ride her bike with him. I mean, she could go maybe a mile and then she'd have to slow back down and he'd take off. And I mean, it was heartbreaking. And so we did both hormones and weight loss for her. And I think it was at her second checkup. So it'd have been 2 months later. I mean, she's in tears to me, telling me how much I've changed her life because now she can go with her husband. And, so
I love that.
I get
That's
that feedback too, that some people, I changed their life and, or I'll help kind of re-spark the romance in their marriage because hormones have helped re-spark or relight their libido. Yes, please share that with me. Like, I will celebrate all of that joy with you. That's what I want to do. That's part of the connection I want to build with my patients.
Yeah. So you really impact people's lives.
I try to.
Greatly. Do you miss working with babies?
I do. Oh, yeah. Every day I miss it.
Were there times where that was really sad, though? That would be so hard.
Yeah. I mean, there's times, don't get me wrong, but death is not something that happened quickly or often, not quickly, sorry, often for babies. And so there's way more happy stories than sad stories.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, sending a baby home with parents who have been there for the last 3-4 months, that is amazing.
That's probably as exciting as the woman being able to ride her bike with her husband.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Maybe better.
Yeah, probably better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges of being a business owner while you're being a provider?
Oh, man, there's a lot. Social media, that's become a beast of its own. Like, I feel like in this industry, social media is a huge piece of business. And yes, websites are important, but that daily content that people expect from you on social media and the interaction and, you want your content to look different than other people's, but still have the same type of information. That's been a challenge. It's not something that I consider myself good at. I'm not at all tech savvy. So, there's a huge learning curve for me with that.
I think you're doing great. Your social media is excellent.
I appreciate that. That means a lot because I feel like it's a daily struggle.
Yeah.
All the admin stuff in regards to, finding pharmacies to go through, finding charting systems to go through. I've already changed once because the one that I started off with, I was having feedback that patients were struggling to get booked and, it just wasn't working. And that's been a challenge. Like I said, I've got zero business knowledge or expertise. So, balancing books and that kind of stuff has been a new eye opener for me. And then I do feel like this industry is pretty cutthroat. There's a lot of competition, and I think on the outside it looks positive and supportive, but it's not always like behind the scenes, and that can be really hard. That can feel pretty heavy. So yeah, I mean, I feel like there's tons of different hiccups and issues, and I feel like every day something new hits me. And yeah, that was one thing of this that I was not expecting, were some of the harder pieces of it, I guess, the behind the scenes things that people don't see.
How much time do you think you spend working on your business versus in your business seeing patients?
I think I spend more time not seeing patients working on business than I do seeing patients, which I hate, but I'm just at a point where I'm not ready to hire someone to do that. And I think it's good to know the ins and the outs of your business. I'm learning, like what things cost and what it takes to do X, Y, or Z. And I think for a business owner, that's important. I want to stay humble in my practice and appreciate all the different pieces of it. But there's definitely a learning curve there.
It is good to learn it all. And then as you grow, you can offload some of those responsibilities. And, and
I think the first thing I'll be doing is finding someone to help me with social media.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a game changer. I finally did that several months ago. And number one, a professional is so much better at it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, there's nothing better than thinking, I don't have to think of a post or caption it.
And they're so quick about it too. Like it'll take me an hour to make a post and they're done in 5 minutes. Yes. And I'm like, why? Like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. So what is something you wish you knew a month ago before you got started?
I think I wish I knew how much extra time I would spend on the business, not in the walls of Utopia. Like all the stuff I'm doing at home, the phone calls and the emails and opening accounts. And there's so much that you don't think about. And, then you have to start price shopping and looking, am I getting the best deal here? Is this going to be better? And, there's reps that contact you all the time. And there's so many steps with that. Like you might inquire with some company about a product, and then someone emails you, and then someone's calling you, and then someone wants to come and meet with you. And it's just like, that sounds great. And it doesn't sound like it would take that much time, but it does. And so I found that, like I'm only part-time here. I share the space with another girl. And so I have a whole day of kind of admin time that I'm trying to get things done, because when I'm here, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to see patients. But I also want to, keep in mind that when my kids come home from school, like I want to be a mom and I don't want to be a business owner at that point. And so there's a big balancing act with finding the time to run a business and do it successfully and manage it and all that and make money. At the end of the day, there's tons of options out there, but you have to find the one that is economically the smartest. And yeah, I just didn't expect that. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was just like, it's going to be glorious. Open your own business.
Yeah. No, I think that's common. I think a lot of people would say that. I'm also, as you're talking, I'm thinking so much of that will drop off and get easier.
Yeah.
Like it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
You're 3 weeks in, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But so many things will just start flowing and become habit or just systemize. And so it'll get better.
I think too, like once I just kind of get myself more established and, kind of make more of a name for myself where people know me and reps know me and I know the processes and that kind of stuff. I agree with you. I think it'll get better.
You'll figure
I feel like it already kind of has gotten somewhat better, but
yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the things that are hard, but there's a lot that's good and wonderful about it. So where do you hope to be in a year? What exciting things are ahead for you?
I want to expand my service menu. I want to start offering a wider variety of things. I think with medicine evolving and changing, I think that I have a lot of opportunities to kind of do that. I'm someone who I feel like my husband would joke that I'm like a chronic student. I love learning. I'm always in school. I'm always doing the next thing. I want to continue to do that. I think education is super important. And I think if you're not challenging yourself, then you're not growing. And so, like functional medicine is kind of like a hot term right now. And that's a lot of that like root cause disease process. For example, you might have high blood pressure, but I want to know why you have high blood pressure. And you have to kind of
Rather than just put a medication on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And, a lot of that can be addressed with hormones. I feel like hormones are kind of like a gateway for a lot of issues that people have, whether it's metabolic issues or sleep issues or mood issues. A lot of it stems back to hormones. But it can also be a lot more than that. It can be like vitamin, mineral deficiencies. It can be stuff with your gut, gut issues, like the microbiome of your gut. And like people don't think about how every single part of our body is connected, like how you can have issues with your intestines that are causing mood changes, and so it's just, I find that fascinating. And so I do think that over the next year or two, I hope to expand that and offer more services that kind of address that. I'm really lucky that I have a really good friend who has done tons of trainings with functional medicine. And so she's a huge resource to me. So yeah, I try and reach out to her and yeah.
That's super exciting. I love that. And I think the whole world's kind of moving through that with you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think with all the things we've talked about with functional medicine being more common and just speaking of things like hormones. So
yeah. I think this GLP-1 push too has really changed things because it started off as a diabetic medication and then people started losing weight and now it is a huge medicine. I'm sure it's probably bigger in weight loss than it is for diabetes. But the amount of people that I have who come to me and, we want to be on a super, super low dose, what we call a microdose, is incredible because they're the ones that have like joint pain relief and inflammation relief and gut bloating relief. And it's just like, wow, that one peptide could make that big of a difference for somebody is huge. I mean, I would say that about myself. Like I'm someone who's always had gut issues and I have microdosed now for a long time and I feel fantastic. I feel way better on it than off of it. And I think as science emerges and things become more available to people, I think that the amount of people who will be on these medications to treat things other than weight issues or diabetes, it's going to continue to grow. And that's exciting. I think that's exciting.
I think the fear around it is starting to erode a little bit.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I think people are kind of figuring out too how to avoid some of the side effects that were scary.
Well, Brittany, thank you for doing this in your beautiful space and sharing all this great information. I think what you've shared is super valuable. I find it interesting. I've gotten to know you better, so this was fun.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to get a hold of you and just pick your brain or see you for services, how would you like them to find you?
So I have both an Instagram and a Facebook. On Facebook, it's just Brittany Thomas, which is my name, Brittany Thomas Wellness. And then I also have an Instagram, and that is Brit_Rooted Wellness Co. So either of those is a great option. My personal email is listed on, I think, both of those. I know for sure my Instagram. So if you've got personal questions you want to send that are more confidential, send me an email. I'm pretty responsive to email. I try and check that multiple times a day. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. I have a website that's launching very soon. I have a business phone number that's coming soon. So there's more to come.
Great. And another easy way is always just to go to the Utopia website, to the Tyler Point location, and all of your information is there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. If you haven't already, be sure that you are subscribed on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss a future episode. And if you would be so kind as to leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that would be incredibly helpful. It's one of the best ways to support your favorite shows. If you've already done so, thank you so much. Be sure to share this episode with a beauty professional who will be inspired by our conversation.
This show is part of the ICT Podcast Network. For more information, visit ictpod.net.